Have you ever imagined waking up one day and the chaos is just gone? No more mental loops. No more fake smiles or trying to prove your worth to people who don't even matter. Imagine speaking less, but your every word carrying undeniable weight. That image of stillness, control, power. That's what happens when you master your emotions. You stop chasing approval and begin to move with unshakable purpose. You no longer need to be loud to be heard. Your presence speaks before you do. From that moment on, you walk with confidence and conviction, because nothing owns you anymore. Not fear, not anger, not the judgments of others. Only you and your unwavering will. If that version of yourself feels right, like the one you've been silently chasing, then comment, "My silence is my strength." This is Stoic Spark, and it begins right now. And to begin the transformation, we must confront the first enemy, emotional slavery. Most people don't even realize they're prisoners, not in a physical cell, but trapped inside their own minds. They wake up and instantly give their power away. One comment ruins their whole day. A delay triggers their rage. A rejection crushes their self-worth. This is emotional slavery, and it's everywhere. The person who explodes over a message, the one who can't stand silence, the one who constantly needs validation, they're not truly living, they're merely reacting. Stoicism teaches you cannot control what happens, but you can always control how you respond. That's where true freedom begins. Marcus Aurelius, emperor, warrior, philosopher, did not fear death, betrayal, or pain, because he refused to let emotions dictate his actions. He ruled his mind like a disciplined general, and so must you, because when your emotions choose for you, your enemies win without lifting a single finger. If you truly want to rise, to walk with true conviction, start by declaring war on the weakness within. Comment below, "I do not negotiate with my emotions." This is how strength is forged. Now, let's uncover a powerful truth. Why real confidence is always built in silence. After declaring war on emotional slavery, you step into a new reality where true confidence is built not by speaking, but by moving in silence. Confidence doesn't scream. It doesn't seek applause or crave attention, because real confidence is forged in silence, in those quiet, unseen moments. You choose discipline over comfort. You rise early. You train your mind. You face your demons alone, and you don't post about it. That's where power begins. Because when you learn to move without broadcasting every step, the world begins to feel your presence without explanation. The weak are loud. They need to be seen. But you're becoming quiet and intentional. You've started to detach. You no longer explain yourself to people who haven't earned the right to hear you. That silence, that stillness, it's not emptiness, it's control. And from that control grows a rare kind of energy, a gravitational force. It's the reason why the most powerful people in the world speak less, yet mean more. Confidence isn't a look, it's a frequency. And when you walk in that frequency, people sense one thing: you are not to be played with. That's why once your emotions are trained into submission, you will walk with clarity, conviction, and calm power, and the world will feel your shift. If this speaks to your soul, drop it in the comments. Power is quiet. Let them wonder while you work. Now let's continue, because it's time to unlock a critical truth. The Stoic law: control the inner, ignore the outer. Once you start living by the Stoic law, controlling the inner and ignoring the outer, nothing owns you anymore. And from that moment, you don't just live, you lead. If you're ready to stop reacting and start ruling, comment now. I answer to my mind, not my mood. Part 4. The dark psychology of emotional trigger shears, something school never taught you. Your emotions are being weaponized against you every single day. Not by some villain in the shadows, but by systems, people, and even your own habits that have learned your emotional triggers better than you have. Guilt, shame, jealousy, fear. These aren't just feelings, they're buttons, and the world is filled with people who know exactly how to press them to get what they want. A toxic partner makes you feel guilty, so you stay. A brand makes you feel insecure, so you buy. A fake friend makes you jealous, so they feel superior. This is dark psychology, And if you don't understand how it works, you're not thinking freely. You're reacting on command. Stoicism shatters this illusion. It teaches you to pause, observe, and reclaim control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength begins when you stop giving automatic emotional responses to every situation. You don't flinch when someone insults you. You don't chase someone who ghosted you. You don't explode because life isn't fair. Instead, you observe, you analyze, you move with intention. That's when people start whispering, "I can't read him. She doesn't react like everyone else." And they're right. You've become untouchable. When you master your inner world, the outer world loses its grip on you. That's how you walk with power, not by controlling others, but by refusing to let anyone control you. And that's the shift we're building. Right now, from reactive to dangerous, from emotionally hijacked to emotionally sovereign, from fragile to formidable. Because once you stop letting others trigger you, you become impossible to manipulate. From that moment on, you walk with unshakable confidence because you no longer fear your own emotions, and no one else can use them against you. If this is the version of yourself you've been chasing in silence, comment now. My mind is my weapon. This is Stoicism Philosophy Daily, and we're just getting started. Ahead, we'll step into a deeper level where silence is no longer just a virtue. It becomes the weapon of the truly powerful. Once you break free from emotional manipulation, a deeper truth comes into focus. Your emotions are not your identity. Part 5. Your emotions are not you. Most people live as if every emotion they feel is who they are. I'm angry. I'm anxious. I'm broken. No, you're not. You are experiencing anger. You are feeling anxiety. You are processing pain. But none of these define you. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That means emotions are temporary visitors. They are signals, not commands. You are the host. You are the observer. And the moment you truly realize that, you create a space between stimulus and response. You stop reacting blindly. You stop identifying with every fleeting emotion. Think about it. A calm person doesn't feel nothing. A calm person can feel rage, heartbreak, betrayal, and still choose a response that serves them. That isn't weakness. That's power. That's control. But when you lose that distinction, when you believe you are your emotions, you become volatile, fragile, unstable. Yet when you can sit with your emotions, dissect them, question them, and respond with clarity, nothing owns you anymore. That's emotional sovereignty. And when you enter that space, everything shifts. You stop fearing other people's opinions. You stop shrinking inside your own skin. You carry yourself differently, not because life is perfect, but because your inner chaos has gone quiet. That's when you walk with confidence and conviction, because the noise inside no longer controls you and the world senses the shift. If this truth hits home, drop a comment below. I am not my emotions. I am the observer. You are not broken. You're simply waking up. Now let's move deeper into a hard truth. Controlled emotions equal calculated action. And a man who fails to master his emotions will always be ruled by someone who does. Once you've separated yourself from emotional chaos, you stop reacting impulsively and start responding with precision and power. Part 6. Controlled emotion equals calculated action. Some people know exactly which gestures or words trigger your deepest insecurities. And every time you react without thinking, you hand them that control. But this is where the Stoic separates from the average. The Stoic does not react. He calculates. He creates space between emotion and execution. Marcus Aurelius didn't suppress his emotions. He examined them. He looked inward and asked, "Is this useful? Does it serve the man I'm trying to become?" That's the true power. Not bottling up pain, but mastering it. Turning anger into discipline, fear into strategy, sadness into strength. When your emotions are under control, your actions become surgical, precise, deliberate. You move like a tactician, not like a victim. You don't lash out, you observe. You don't beg, you reposition. You don't panic, you plan. And people start noticing. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself. You no longer chase. You no longer fall apart over things that once broke you. That's what makes you powerful. Not because you're emotionless, but because you no longer let emotion dictate your identity or your decisions. The world is full of people who act first and regret later. But you pause, you analyze, you execute, not for applause, not for validation, but because your every move is grounded in intention. And that's when your energy begins to shift. You say less, but every word carries weight. You do less, but every action moves the room. That's the transformation. That's the evolution. And that's when you begin to walk with confidence and conviction. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You stopped being a puppet and became the one pulling the strings. If you feel that shift stirring inside you, if you're ready to break free from emotional chaos, then comment now. I choose response over reaction. This is Stoicism philosophy, daily, and this is where your true power begins. Up next, we'll enter a deeper layer of presence where true power doesn't shout, doesn't prove. It simply enters and the entire atmosphere shifts. When your actions are no longer dictated by emotion, your silence becomes louder than any shout. Part 7, the presence of power. You stop needing validation to feel valuable. You stop broadcasting your every move to be seen, because now your silence speaks louder than any announcement. That's why the most dangerous man in the room is often the one who says the least, not because he's hiding, but because he's watching, calculating, studying, while others react. Emotionally, he remains calm and shaken, while they talk to fill the silence. He wields silence like a weapon, and the irony, the less he says, the more people listen. When he speaks, the less he moves, the more power each step carries. That's presence, that's control, and that's what separates the average from the exceptional. The Stoics mastered this. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire with a calm mind and a measured tongue. His power came from stillness, his leadership from reason. Today, if you want true respect, not the kind bought with noise or title, you must become rooted in silence. In a world addicted to reaction, stillness is rebellion. In a society obsessed with attention, your indifference becomes magnetic. And here's the deeper, darker truth. The more you speak, the more you reveal. And the more you reveal, the easier you are to manipulate. But when you speak less and move with precision, people begin projecting their own fears onto you. They can't figure you out. They try to predict your next step and fail. That mystery, that tension, creates power. People fear what they cannot read. And when you control your emotional output, you become unreadable. No one knows if you're hurting or planning your next move. No one knows if you're calm or preparing to unleash something massive. That's real power. You don't need to flex. You don't need to post. Your discipline becomes your signal. Your restraint becomes your armor. And your presence, grounded, focused, unshakable, becomes your loudest statement. That's when you begin to walk with confidence and conviction. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because you're no longer at war with yourself. You've silenced the noise. You've mastered the emotion. And now, your energy is focused, lethal, and controlled. Up next, we'll explore the final transformation, the moment where everything comes together and you rise not louder, but deeper from within. When your silence holds weight and your energy speaks before you do, you no longer chase power, you embody it. If this message hits you at your core, if you're ready to stop explaining and start embodying, comment right now. I speak less. I move with purpose. This is Stoic Spark. We don't chase power, we become it. Part 8, the final battle. Reclaiming the mind. There's a war you fight every single day. No medals, no applause, just you and your own mind. And that's the most brutal kind of war. Because when your greatest enemy lives in your head, there's no escape. It follows you in silence. It whispers when the world is quiet. It questions your worth when no one is watching. It weaponizes your past. It magnifies your fears. And if you let it win, It will own every step you take. This is the war no one sees, but everyone loses. Because most people don't know how to fight it. They numb it with distractions. They drown it in dopamine. They run from it with noise. But the Stoic, he does the unthinkable. He turns toward it. He sits with the discomfort. He walks straight into the storm inside. He studies it. He dismantles it. And he rebuilds his mind like a fortress, stone by stone, thought by thought, and slowly. He becomes indestructible. Marcus Aurelius wasn't born powerful. He forged that power in silence, writing to himself in the dark, reminding his soul that he was not his emotions, not his thoughts, not his circumstances. He was the master of all of it. You have power over your mind, not outside events. That's not just philosophy. That's survival. Because if you don't master your mind, the world will. People will push your buttons. Trends will hijack your focus. Triggers will steer your actions. And one day you'll wake up realizing you've been living on autopilot all along. That's what this final battle is about. Waking up, seeing the patterns, feeling the pull, and choosing to rise above it. Your mind is a battlefield. And every time you choose to observe instead of react, focus instead of scroll, hold silence instead of explode, you win. Not just for a moment, but for life. You build a habit of sovereignty, and that habit becomes identity. Asterisk, it won't happen overnight. You'll lose some rounds. That's part of it. But each time you return to center, each time you reclaim control, you get one step closer to becoming the most dangerous version of yourself, calm, focused, and completely free. When you begin mastering your mind, chaos no longer controls you, it trains you. Power begins to grow within you. You start to recognize the voice of doubt and you ignore it. You hear the fear, but you move forward anyway. You feel the anger, but you respond with discipline. And before long, the chaos that once shook you becomes your training ground. Then something shifts. You start walking differently. You start thinking differently. You no longer fear other people's opinions because you finally trust your own. You don't flinch when things go wrong because you don't need everything to go right. To remain grounded, you're no longer at war with yourself. You've taken command. And that's why you walk with confidence and conviction, not from ego, not from status, but from inner peace, because you've survived the battlefield inside your own skull and come out forged, focused, and fearless. If this spoke to something deep inside you, something you've ignored, or maybe just awakened to, drop this in the comments right now. I own my mind. Nothing owns me. This is Stoicism Philosophy Daily, and the war within. It ends the moment you rise. Part 9. You will walk with confidence, and now you know why it was never about being louder. Never about faking confidence. Never about pretending to be fearless in a world obsessed with appearances. It was never about impressing them. It was always about confronting you, standing face to face with your fear, with your rage, with the part of you that breaks under pressure and refusing to run. That's real strength, because confidence doesn't begin when the world claps for you. It begins the moment you stop needing the applause, when you can sit alone with your thoughts and not be haunted, when you can walk through uncertainty and not crave reassurance, when your self-respect no longer depends on the approval of strangers. That is the awakening, the quiet shift, where you stop chasing the world and start commanding yourself, where you realize you were never meant to control everything, but you were always meant to master one thing, your mind. That's where conviction is born. Not from pretending to have all the answers, but from knowing that whatever happens, you will not fall apart. When life hits hard, you don't break, you don't beg, you don't collapse, because you've become the rock the storm can't shake. In the final part, we'll bring this journey home, ending the battle with weakness and unlocking the rise of your unshakable self. When you no longer seek applause and rise from the fire of your own battles, that's when the real transformation begins. Now you breathe, you assess, and you move, not hurried, not to impress, but with clarity and purpose. And that's when people feel your presence, because it no longer asks to be seen, it demands to be felt. You walk differently, not to get attention, but because each step carries weight, the weight of purpose, of awareness. You speak differently, not to be heard, but because your words are forged from a place of truth, of stillness, of real experience. You're no longer trying to prove anything to anyone. And that is why you now walk with confidence and conviction, because you've fought the war inside your own mind and you've won. You've sat with the darkest parts of yourself and you didn't run. You didn't numb them. You didn't deny them. You faced them. You understood them, and from them you rose. That's what Stoicism was always about. Not pretending to be emotionless, but learning how to stand solid in a world constantly trying to shake you. You don't flinch anymore, not because you feel nothing, but because you've built something stronger inside. Discipline, clarity, inner peace dotted when they ask, "Why are you different now?" You'll simply smile, because they weren't there when you were rebuilding yourself piece by piece, in silence, in struggle, in fire. If this message felt like truth, if you've been walking this path alone and finally feel seen, then mark this moment. Comment, "I am becoming untouchable." Let it be your declaration. Let it be the start of your next evolution dart, and if this spoke to your soul, don't let it fade into just another forgotten video. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is Stoicism Philosophy Daily, and we are not here to fit in. We are here to master ourselves and lead.